Now, Deputy Communications Minister Philly Mapulane has told Parliament that the SABC owes broadcasting signal distributor Sentech over 700 million rand, which is more than half its revenue. The public broadcaster is facing a number of financial challenges, as we know, which may impact staff and operations. Parliament has now suggested that the SABC approach Treasury for more help. Let's unpack this for you, bring in the Deputy Communications Minister who joins us now via our video link. And it's great to have you on the program, so thanks very much indeed for making time. I wonder as a start if we can place the significance of this, right? Because for people who don't know, Sentech is a separate entity which is responsible for providing broadcasting signal to a number, if not all, SABC platforms. This is TV and radio. So how big a deal is it that half its revenue is owed by the SABC, threatening its own survival?
Thank you very much, Ayanda, and thanks for having me. Yesterday, Ayanda, the SABC appeared before Parliament to present their corporate plan. And as it's usual, we accompanied them to Parliament. And so one of the issues that arose there in Parliament is this debt that the SABC owes to Sentech, which is another entity of the department. And so yesterday we made an appeal to the leadership of the SABC to invest more time and effort in settling this bill, or at least in paying a portion of the debt, so that they are able to service it. Because if the debt is allowed to continue, it is going to have dire consequences on Sentech. As you know, Sentech is the signal distribution company that provides signal to both the SABC and other broadcasters.
Right.
So if this debt is not being serviced, it's going to have some implications also for Sentech. So we were making an appeal to the SABC leadership to say, please consider doing this. We know that we have raised a concern, we have raised a complaint with the Competition Commission, and we know that the Competition Commission has not ruled in your favor. And so that was the appeal that we were making yesterday to the SABC leadership.
And what commitment did they give you, Deputy Minister? Because if Sentech goes down, that means even if these different broadcasting companies are able to operate themselves, they can't reach their audiences. So the stakes are quite high.
Yes, because this increasing debt threatens both the entities, both the SABC as well as Sentech. If Sentech is not able to provide, so the SABC will be off air and other broadcasters. So I think it is in the interest of both these entities that this matter is resolved. The Minister has already instructed both the boards to engage among each other to resolve it. So they are busy engaging among themselves. We are looking forward for them resolving the issue. But also the Minister has instructed the SABC to come up with a turnaround plan, and we're expecting the turnaround plan to be presented to the Minister by the end of November.
What we should I beg your pardon. What we should say is it's yet another turnaround plan. One has been in place for years. In fact, the last time there was feedback at Parliament, the SABC was meant to give us a kind of track record of how much work is being done to make sure that that plan, which has been in place for years, is actually going ahead. And even then, I think it was February 2020, we were told that the SABC is millions in the red. They're also not meeting their targets when it comes to revenue and sponsorship income. And you have to wonder whether the issue here is with that plan or the implementation of this plan by those who are meant to do that.
You know, Ayanda, we are not oblivious to contextual issues under which the SABC is operating. We know that the broadcasting landscape has significantly changed since the promulgation of the Broadcasting Act of 1999. There are issues which are serving as constraints to the SABC. If I were just to mention them, one of them is the funding for the SABC. On Tuesday, the SABC argued that it carries 35% of the content that it produces is mandated, meaning it's public service mandate, and yet it only receives about 3.2% of its revenue from government, which is a big mismatch. They are only able to commercialize 65% of their content. So that is a binding constraint on the broadcaster. We know that the broadcasting landscape has also changed significantly, as I've said, because the emergence and this convergence of digital technologies have changed the consumption of content. More and more people are consuming content online. And so the advertisers are also moving from the linear television and going to online. The OTT platforms are also impacting heavily on the revenue of the SABC and the declining audiences. So that is the macro environment in which the SABC operates. And so we are seeking to intervene, and we are intervening. We've tabled the SABC bill to Parliament. We briefed them last week. We want to introduce a new mechanism to the public funding, public service mandate of the SABC, the funding rather. Right. And so the bill is introducing a different mechanism for that. But we also want to separate the public mandate from the commercial mandate of the SABC, so that the commercial mandate can be fully exploited, so that if possible it can also cross-subsidize the public service mandate. Precisely. So those are the interventions that we are making at the regulatory level.
And that's where I was hoping to go, Deputy Minister, because the SABC is not the only public broadcaster in the world, and it seems like those that belong to other countries are in at least a better financial position than we are in. So yes, you're absolutely right. There is this dilemma around its public mandate and its commercial imperatives. It's a unique problem that the SABC has, but not a new one at all. And I wonder whether it fully encapsulates the challenges that the public broadcaster has been facing. We've heard in the past, for instance, of having more staff than you need, for example. Is the SABC keeping up with market trends? Nothing is stopping the public broadcaster from also having its own online streaming services where they produce quality content that can rival these other streaming services. I mean, are any of those conversations happening?
They are happening, Ayanda. The SABC does have its own OTT platform, the SABC Plus. They are busy commercializing it. It's picking up the numbers. They were saying on Tuesday that it continues to grow in terms of the numbers, the viewers who are on the OTT platform. So that is happening. But we also know that there was this bailout, which you referred to earlier. And we are not really pleased, Ayanda, with the outcome of that intervention, of the turnaround, because there was a lot of injection that came from the fiscus. It was 3.2 billion. Although the SABC reported 98% achievement of all the activities which were on the turnaround plan, but in terms of the financial health of the institution, it is still where it was before the intervention. So we're worried about that. We're asking them to because the SABC, as you know, that they are independent. Of course, their independence must be respected. But the minister, as a shareholder, has requested them to come up with this plan. And at the point when the plan is produced, which is going to be at the end of this month, November, we are going to interrogate, we are going to suggest intervention whilst we are waiting for the parliamentary process to be finalized. One of the key cost drivers of the SABC, actually there are three key cost drivers, is the employee cost, is the signal distribution cost, which we are worried that they are not servicing this one. And there's other costs. So the SABC is looking at those costs and how to contain those costs as it is.
Yeah. I do wonder whether you support those calls for yet another bailout. It almost seems that everybody is stopping short of just saying, in order to get through this moment, we might have to approach Treasury yet again.
We have already done that, Ayanda. And as you know that we are operating within a constrained fiscal environment in the economy, there is not much. In fact, most of our baseline has been reduced by Treasury. So there is no new money that is going to come. We need to find a way of dealing with this environment. And of course, there is an imperative to cover the elections. And I think those were the conversations that we're having, that the elections are coming. It is important that the SABC must be resourced properly to cover those elections, to make sure that those elections are free and fair, and they are covered by the public broadcaster. So those imperatives are there. We are still engaging with Treasury. Hopefully, in the new budget that will be tabled next year, there might be some allocation. But in the meantime, the SABC has been instructed to work on the revenue improvement plan. The new board is seized with that. And those are the conversations that we are having. But the point that I really want to emphasize is that please let's not lose sight of the macro environment under which the SABC is. It's quite an untenable situation as it is. The SABC needs to be properly funded. The TV license as a mechanism, initially that was thought that it will fund the public service mandate, it has proven not to be sustainable.
Sure.
Because more and more people are not paying their licenses and so forth.
To be fair, Deputy Minister, yes, that needs to be considered, but there's also questions around whether or not the SABC is also operating or trying to achieve its own operating models, right? Is it agile? Is it keeping up with competition? Is it using the money it receives as well as it can? But I think all those are points well made, and hopefully we get this right, given the very important public mandate that the SABC has to play. For now, thanks very much indeed for speaking to us. The Deputy Communications Minister is Philly Mapulane, joining us there via our